Hey, what up, everybody? This is steviebreech coming to you. I'm surprised about the overall rating of Impact. From looking at my Twitter feed that I follow, I thought everybody in the world was watching this show. I thought it was going to be a whole lot higher. I thought it was a good episode of TNA Impact. I didn't think it was as good as the week before's, but there was some good stuff in there. I think that the Rude versus Sting match was really good with all the lumberjacks out there. I thought that AJ. Versus Christopher Daniels is really good. I'm not really sucked into this whole angle that they're running with between AJ and Dixie Carter. I think it's a little bit too Young and the Restless for me, a little bit too soap opera. But I do want to see where it ends up. I just don't really want to care to see where it goes week by week. But I think they do have a good thing going. The gut check challenge. Um, Bored the hell out of me, and I think any viewer out that was out there that you know was watching this show as just tuning into wrestling to see, I haven't watched wrestling in a while, but I'll watch this because it's the what everybody's talking about. I think they lost them during that segment. I think it dragged on a little bit too much. I think they need to find a way to get in there and tinker with it a little bit and find a way to not make it as long and drawn out. But I for one, I don't know if that was, a shoot at the end. I'd like to think it was, but knowing TNA, probably it was scripted to try and make everybody look a little bit better. At least Taz said that he could come back and try when he was ready again. So maybe we will see a return. But you never know where they go from here. I mean, the guy that won the first gut check challenge hasn't even been on TV since. So I mean, what are they really doing with this, anyways? It's sort of like I think that if you want to have this sort of a show, I think it needs to be separate. I think there's a reason why WWE, when they ran Tough Enough, it was its own separate show. It wasn't a part of Raw. It wasn't a part of SmackDown. Well, one year it was, but I think that year sucked anyways. I think everybody will agree with me there. And there's one reason why the Divas contests were held on the internet was that they're pretty boring, and I'm not sure if anybody else has the same thought about that. But the one thing that really came out of this that really has my mind, ticking about what they're gonna do is Dixie Carter announced that they're gonna have the first TNA Hall of Famer inductee at Slammiversary this year, and my mind is racing to who it's going to be. Um, my first thought is that it could be Jeff Jarrett. I mean, no one's put as much into Jeff Jarrett into TNA as Jeff Jarrett has. I mean, being a wrestler, being one of the guys that was the owner that started it. I think he has the title of president or something like that for the company right now. And he is at the point where his career isn't over. I'm sure he'll be like the Vince McMahon of TNA, where he'll have that one match or two matches a year to try and put somebody over. I can remember when he really came out when Robert Roode was a mid carder, and he put him over in the middle of nowhere. And I was really surprised by that because that was when he was on his comeback tour, and I really thought that he was going to use him to leapfrog into the main event again. But if anybody else remembers that, it was a pretty good feud that they had about him moving his way up the card back then. That was before beer money. But I would like to see Jarrett be the first guy put in after all the hard work that he's done for them. But I also, on the other hand, think Jarrett would want to put somebody else in to share the light on somebody. There is thoughts that it could be this is the payback for when Ric Flair went and did the Hall of Fame, even though Ric Flair's not a part of TNA anymore or soon to be. That they agreed with WWE that Flair could go under contract and be a part of the DVD and the TV show if they could have one contracted WWE guy come to them. And there was rumors that it was going to be somebody that was connected with Flair and Sting and Hogan. So the only thing I could think of was like Arn Anderson. I don't know why you'd want him, but for some sort of a DVD. But maybe they'll use this to bring in somebody like Christian, who's done a lot for TNA. He's one of the first big free agents. I think every big free agent they ever brought in, kept moving the bar up and up and up. There is a book by Jerry Jarrett, not Jeff Jarrett, but Jerry, that it came out about him trying to get TNA off the ground and everything that he had to do with the company. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and get this book because the book it sucks. It's not that good. It's torture to try to read. But there is little footnotes in there that you can pick up along the way. And one of the things was Jerry was he how much work he tried to put into trying to sign Scott Steiner, and Scott Steiner just wasn't somebody who believed in TNA and just kept on saying, "Yeah, yeah, I'll be there, I'll be there." But then when it finally came down to it, never put the pen on paper, never showed up. So it was hard to find people to want to come in. But you had guys like Scott Hall was there when the company first started, and that moved into Raven. Raven came after that, and then it was Rhino and Christian, and then Christian evolved into Kurt Angle, and from there you got Booker T. I mean, like the guys kept on coming from WWE and trying to improve the company and move the ladder up and up and up. But Christian was one of the guys that really jumped over and wasn't just some guy that got fired by WWE and was coming over to the company to try to do his best. So it would be nice to see if Christian was the first guy put in. I don't think anybody has gave as much name value to the company as Sting has. Sting was he's been a main eventer from the time he's been there. He's done everything from be the GM of the show to the main eventer, putting people over, just trying to make that company as much as he could. And a lot of people think Sting's just there for a paycheck. I'm not the biggest Sting fan in the world, but you can at least say that almost every TNA Sting match has been good. I mean, even if you don't say it's great, it's been good, it's been watchable, it's believable. He's the biggest star that they've had, and I don't think you can really make a star in Sting after everything he did in WCW. But they've done everything they can do to make sure that his name value doesn't drop. Um, Kurt Angle is probably the best wrestler that they've ever had. Probably the wrestler with the most name value. But I don't really see Kurt Angle as a guy that's wanting to be put in the Hall of Fame before his career is over. There is a day if TNA is still around and he's done with his career. I think he's made it well known that he will more than likely have one more WWE match, not a run, but I think he would come back for one more time to end his career. He at least has said that he wants Jim Ross to call his last match, and that's probably the only way that it's going to be able to happen. And who would want to end their career in TNA? Why not end it on the biggest stage of all? I can understand why Sting does. He's never been there. I think it would make a whole lot of fans happy if Sting jumped over. But for Kurt Angle, a guy that started his career there as somebody nobody believed in, that was just some sort of Olympic guy. I remember when he came in, I just thought he was a jobber guy that was going to put over Stasiak at the pay-per-view, and we were going to move on from there. Especially just how bad his promos were back in the day, just what he's grown to. But I don't think that Kurt Angle's going to go in there. Any other names that come to my mind? I don't know. I really think it's Jarrett. Somebody even said that it'd be CM Punk. For I have no clue. I mean, the guy wrestled in the Asylum years. As you can see, as from the best ofs, he only makes one appearance, and I think they just uses him for name value. I don't think CM Punk was anything for TNA. That I don't think he helped them out as much as they helped him. I think it was just a stopping point for him. And as soon as they ended their deal, I don't think he ever looked back, and I don't think he's ever cared about them. So no way in the world. I think if they were using somebody for a best of the 10 years of TNA, which I'm not sure is in the works, but that when the news first came out that they were going to be bringing somebody in for that Ric Flair trade, I was thinking they could use CM Punk just for the name value that he is the biggest guy out there that has been in the company, even though it was in a small role in the Asylum years, could tell him about how good they were. But I'm not sure if he'd really give that great of an interview to a company that he doesn't care about. But somebody else said that it could be Ric Flair, but I don't think they're going to put Ric Flair in the Hall of Fame on his way out. But I don't know. That's what I've been thinking about the most today, more than anything about wrestling. So if anybody else has any thoughts about the TNA Hall of Fame, I guess it holds as much stock as the WWE Hall of Fame because there is no real Hall of Fame or building or anything out there. But who do you think the first person to be in there? I know when they put Andre in for the WWF back in the day at the King of the Ring, that was just solidified that he was the biggest star they had. I think that Vince McMahon Sr. That was the biggest guy that he had, and that was the biggest way Vince McMahon could give back to him, was give him this high honor. So TNA probably wants to start it off right. Who do you think they're going to go with?